Hello， 大家好，歡迎嚟到 Stephen 英語教室。咁今日呢條片咧，我會試少少唔同嘅嘢嘅，就係咧今次呢條片咧會全程用英文嘅。So I might regret this when I put in the subtitles, but it might be good listening exercise for you guys. So I'm gonna try it, and if you like this kind of video, please tell me in the comments and give me a like, so I'll be encouraged to make more videos like this. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about my experience of moving to a foreign country twice, and also my language learning experience and how it led me to starting this channel. I'll also talk about why people seem to learn a language for a long time but still couldn't speak it, which was my case. Both of the times I moved to a foreign country, when I first moved there, I practically couldn't speak, and I'll talk about my experiences there. I hope my experience could also help you understand how to learn English better and more effectively. So the first time I moved to another country was when I was 15 years old. And I moved to the United States to go to high school there. How that came about is that my mother went to a church set up by US missionaries when she was a child. And that missionary couple went back to the US but kept in touch with my mother. I lived with them for 4 years in their home with them as the host family, and then after that, another 5 years in college where I lived by myself in the college dormitory. And if I have to say, the hardest part about moving there wasn't really having to adapt to a new environment, it wasn't losing my friends in Hong Kong, but it really was the language. So of course, like everyone else in Hong Kong, I studied English since primary school, and I studied for 9 years by the time I was 15 when I moved to the US. But despite that, I couldn't really speak any English when I first moved there. Besides not being able to speak, I also couldn't really understand Americans. Like when they are actually talking at normal speed, I can't really understand what they're saying. And an interesting thing about the place I moved to was that it was a very small town. Unlike most foreign exchange students who move to the US, maybe they go to New York or San Francisco where there are a lot of Asians. The small town I lived in actually had no Asians whatsoever, and I had nobody to speak any Cantonese with. Which was a good thing because I was forced to speak English for the first 4 years, and that made me really get used to speaking English. But an important point I want to make here is, don't get into the thinking of just because you moved to a foreign country, therefore you will be able to speak that language. That is definitely not true, and I will talk more about that when I talk about my second experience of moving to another country. But I was able to get really good at English because I had nobody to speak any Cantonese with, and if I wanted to survive there, I must speak English well. So fast forward to 2011, that was when I graduated from college in the US, and I wanted to find a job there, but the job market was really bad at that time. It was after the 2008 financial crisis of the Lehman Brothers and all that stuff. And my field of study was finance, so it made it extra hard for me to get any kind of job in finance at that time. So after graduating, I moved back to Hong Kong, worked a few years, and later started my own business. Again, fast forward to 2020, my wife and I are starting to get unsatisfied about various problems in Hong Kong. For example, education, housing, and also, of course, different kind of political unrest and that kind of things. So we wanted to move to another country. We really liked Japan when we traveled there for vacation, and that's why we decided to move here. And I said here because we are actually in Japan, in a city called Fukuoka right now. So I actually didn't study any Japanese when I was a kid. I only started studying it about 4 years before I moved here. For those 4 years, it was on and off study, and for a year or two, I was studying really seriously. But again, when I first moved here, even though I studied for quite a bit, I found myself not able to speak or understand the language again. But this time for me, it wasn't really like my situation when I moved to the US. It was very different because I'm not really in a situation where I'm forced to speak Japanese a lot. I did go to Japanese language school and I had to speak Japanese at school, but every day is only like 3 or 4 hours in class. I speak Cantonese at home with my wife. She's from Hong Kong. And also for work, you can see I speak mostly Cantonese, shooting videos in this channel, and of course this video is in English. But for the most part, I do not speak any Japanese related to work at all. So, especially since I've graduated from Japanese language school, I have not really need to speak Japanese at all, except maybe ordering at the restaurant or buying things at the supermarket, but that's not really counting speaking the language at all, in my opinion. And of course, also with the pandemic, there's really rarely any chance I could really go out and meet Japanese people here. So except the little short period I went to Japanese language school, I really had no chance to speak Japanese whatsoever. And because this time I knew my situation was so different from when the language environment was forced on me, like back in the US, this time I know I really had to rely on myself to actually get good at Japanese and not have Japanese kind of forced onto me to become good. And that got me into studying a lot about language studying. And here I want to talk about why so many of us study English or other languages, why we study for so long but still not be able to speak or understand that language. And I think language gets so hard because of the way school taught us to learn languages. I used to think, well, if I want to get fluent in Japanese, maybe I need to learn a lot of Japanese vocabulary and grammar, and maybe eventually I can understand and be able to speak very well. The more I learn, the better I can speak, right? But what I've really realized along the way is it's not about learning, it's about immersing. Really get in touch and really absorb the language from watching and listening a lot, getting a lot of input and getting a lot of practice. And as I mentioned, I did go to Japanese school, but I really think what I did outside of school was much more important than what I did in school. I was able to get from not really able to speak to being conversational in just short 3 to 4 months. 今ペラペラに話せるわけではないんですけど、日常の会話あんまり問題ないです。このチャンネルで紹介している方法を自分も使って毎日練習してペラペラに話せるように頑張っています。So most people learn with the wrong methods, and I really hope in this channel, through my experience and through my learnings, I can really share with everyone how to learn English or other languages effectively. So in conclusion, of course, learning an other language, whether it's English, Japanese, or other languages, learning a language is very difficult. Or moving to another country is also very difficult. But the rewards could also be great. Personally, English has really helped me propel my career, and I learned a lot of things through English, and that really enabled me to start my business and do what I do in my business. So maybe you want to move to another country, maybe you just want to improve your English, maybe you want to be able to speak English with confidence with foreigners, and I really hope my story and the different methods I share in this channel can really help inspire and motivate you. So if you're interested in improving your English skill, especially your conversational skills, I've prepared a free video series for you. In those 4 videos, I'll share with you how you can go from not being able to speak English to confidently speaking English in just 3 to 6 months. And I'll also share 3 secrets that most English learners aren't aware of, and also I'll share more tools and resources to help you effectively improve your English. So go to the link below, www.stephenenglish.hk, to watch the first video. And if you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll share more with you in the next video. Bye bye for now.